What's going on, guys? I got a lot of good information here for you guys today, and I'm gonna try to go through this pretty fast. I'm kind of a little bit pissed off because I just recorded this, but I didn't have the sound on, so now I'm gonna have to go back and re-record it. But anyway, that's my problem, not yours. Okay. Also, before one other thing, before I jump right in this, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I'm just showing you what's making me a lot of money. So yeah, keep that in mind. Having said that, you can tell by looking at my Robinhood account, and keep in mind this is just one of my accounts. I have multiple trading accounts with different brokers, but yeah, just on this account alone, you can see I'm having a pretty good year, right? I'm at 240% gain for the year, so you can see this is 240% for the year. So it's not like lucky or anything like that. It's not like I did that for a week or I did that for a month or even a couple months. I've done that for 6 months. As you can see, it is July 2nd right there. And year to date, it's obviously starting from January 1st. So for those 6 months, I made 240%. And you can see for the last 3 months, I made 32.6%. And so why is 240% such a big deal? Because 240%, that's way higher than, the norm in the investing and trading industry. In fact, a lot of newbies will jump into the business and they'll ask people like, hey, can I do this full time or can I make a living doing this? And most people will tell them, no, you can't do that because even if you have a great year, you're probably only going to make a 10% return. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can make far more than a 10% return. As I have so far this year, I've made a 240% return. And before we jump into this too deep, I just want to pull up a calculator here and show you guys some numbers. So when people say, hey, you can't do this for full time, you can't do this for a living because you'll need like $1 million to be successful. Well, I'm here to tell you, that's really not the case here. Okay, so say if you start out with 100K, I get it. Not everyone's have 100K to start out with. I'm just throwing a number out there, right? But if you start out with 100K, and like what most people would say is a great year is 10%. So obviously that's going to be $10,000, right? So yeah, most people wouldn't be able to live on $10,000. So yes, that is correct in that aspect. But again, if you know what you're doing, you can make way more than 10%, which most people say you can't do. But as you can see right here, again, just in 6 months, I already made 240%. So let's say if you started out with $100,000. Let's say if you start out with $100,000, right? And you got 240% return. And by the way, for those that don't know, in decimal, 240% would be 2.4. So if you start out with $100,000, then you would have a profit or a gain of $240,000 per year. I think most people probably could live on that. So this just goes to show you can make a living full time trading or investing, even if you don't have like $100,000 to start with. Even if you just started with like $50,000 or half of that, 240,000 would still be a $120,000 profit if you could get a 240% gain. So I guess what you're thinking of the question is, how in the heck can you get a 240% gain when everybody say, hey, even if you just make an 8% or 10% or 12% gain for the year, you had a crazy good year? Well, that's a good question, and that's exactly what I'm here to talk about. But before I tell you what you should be doing, I'm going to start out by telling you what you shouldn't be doing because it's super important to actually, learn from your mistakes. But what's even more important than learning from your mistakes is learning from other people's mistakes so you don't have to go through all the pain and the suffering. And especially like if you're trying to do something like trading and investing, you definitely want to learn from other people's mistakes because you don't want to lose all that money yourself. And so there's a post on Reddit where a guy said, I lost over 100K to Bed Bath and Beyond. And I bring this up not to call this guy out or, anything like that, but I'm just bringing this up so you can see the mistake that he made. And so hopefully you won't make the same mistakes that he made. That's the only reason I'm bringing this post up. But yeah, he lost over $100,000 on that company. But here's the thing about it. if he would have been a little bit more knowledgeable or did like took his time and did his due diligence and did some research, he would never have invested in that company in the first place. And this is the real secret to my success. And so I'm gonna jump over here to this site, and this is a super secret site that not a lot of people know about, but this is the site that actually is the main reason that I've been crushing the market. I've been making like 200%, returns, 300% returns, 400% returns, while everybody else is, losing money. And so the thing about this site is what this site does. It shows you all the financials of a company, but not only that, it gives it to you in an easy to read and an easy to understand format, which is great because if you went to like a company website and you're not like an accountant or you're not somebody who has experience or knowledge reading financial statements, then you probably have a hard time deciphering the financial statements and the financial health of the company just by looking at what they have posted on the site. And this is why this website is so amazing. It makes everything super easy for you. So basically, to understand this site, really, you don't have to know two things. You have to know it's color coded for you. So basically, you would know green is good, red is bad. It's really that simple. It really is. So if you see a whole bunch of red, like you do with this site right here for Bed Bath and Beyond, then you know it's bad, right? What do you see? You see a bunch of red, 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 bunch of red. It's really that simple. It's almost like driving a car, right? You get to the traffic light, green is go, red is stop. It's the same thing here. If you see a bunch of red, then it's a bad company, a company that's not doing well. It's a company that you want to stay away from. And also not only that, but they give you this score here. And again, they give you the table to tell you what the score is. So if it's between 0 and 50, it's worst future performance potential. So you definitely wouldn't want to be investing in that. You would definitely want something that's probably at least 81 to 90. Personally, I like to pick stuff between 91 and 100. So this is what make this site so useful is that it's super easy. Again, you don't even have to understand what this stuff means. Now I suggest you do. Like I understand what this stuff means. You can and the stuff is not hard to understand. You can probably take a few hours and do some research to understand what all this stuff means. But you don't have to understand it. If you don't if you didn't want to, you could just look at the colors, right? And say, hey, it's a whole bunch of red, so that's bad. I'm gonna show you a good company, obviously. So what you would expect, right? Based on what I just said, you would expect to see a whole bunch of green, right? And that's exactly what you see. You see a lot of green, 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 a lot of green. And based on that, and also if you look at the score, so based on all the green, you would expect it to have a high score, and that's exactly what it has. It has a 97 over 100. So 91 to 100 is highest outperformance potential. So this site makes it's super easy. Like so, you shouldn't have any problems picking good companies. And not only that, um, they also have screeners, so they can actually find the companies for you, and then basically you can just look at the financial help and decide if you actually want to, invest or not. But let's go back to that company. This guy lost over 100K on this Bad Bath and Beyond. So we go back to that. So I'm not going to dig too deep into it, but I do want to, kind of give you a overview of what some of this stuff means. So let's take a look right here. In fact, so this should kind of give you a good idea of what some of this stuff means, right? So if we come down here and look at the financials, if you look at this, the thing that should jump out to you is like, let's turn this off. We don't need that. I don't want to confuse you guys too much here. So basically, what you have here is you have revenue and you have net income. Obviously, revenue is like kind of like sales. So how much sales money you made. Net income is the actual profit, right? Anyway, so if we take a look at this, what we see here, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. So basically, what you have here is you have revenue going down for 5 years in a row. Net income, right? If it's green, then that's how much profit. If it's red, it's not a profit, but it's actual loss. And so if we see right here, they had a profit right here, but then they had a loss right here. Then they had a bigger loss, another loss, a bigger loss, and then a huge loss. So as you can see, this is a declining company. We can clearly and easily see that using this site because they make it so easy again for you. You can easily see this is a declining company. Decline in revenue down every year in a row. Decline in profit down every year in a row. And so if you would have looked, just took like 10 seconds and take a look at this, you will know, hey, this is probably not a company that I actually want to invest in. So let's take a look at a couple more things here. Let's see. Same thing with profitability rank, right? Again, this site make it super easy. You don't even have to understand what all this stuff means. Basically, what you see is you see a whole bunch of red. You see, red, 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 red. You see red everywhere, right? You see negative numbers everywhere. Minus 21, minus 65, minus 83, minus 33, minus 138, minus 164. So to tell you this is a company that's not making any profit. So if you would just take a look at this, you will know, hey, not a company that I probably want to invest my hard-earned money in. So based on what we're seeing here with this company, why would this guy invest $100,000 in this company? Well, where people get tripped up at and where people make a huge mistake at is they look for cheap stocks. So this was a cheap stock, and that's probably why he invested all that money into it. But here's the problem, though. What I always say is, cheap crap is still crap. It's kind of like you a broken down car, right? Yeah, it may be cheap, but if it's gonna break down and stop on you every day and not get you where you need to go, it doesn't matter how much it costs. It's not worth it. It's the same thing with a stock. If a stock is cheap, but the company isn't doing anything and the company is declining sales, it doesn't matter how cheap it is. It's not worth it. And also, there's really no reason to chase after these, near worthless companies just because they're cheap. You can find cheap companies or cheap stocks for companies that are performing well. You can use this site, in fact, to do it. You can use this site to do some screening, and then once you screen those stocks, you can just easily look at this. They financial help, and we already seen how easy it is to read the financial help is because it's all color coded for you. So no reason to be investing in companies like that. Now, if you guys do want to try this site, actually you can try it for 7 days for free. I'll leave a link in my description, so if you want to try it, then you can go ahead and try it for 7 days. Like I said, it will be free for the first 7 days. If you want to actually pay for it and continue using it monthly, you can get it for $500 per year. I know that may be a little steep for some people. For me, $500 is I mean it's gonna pay for itself multiple time over. Again, I made darn near 240%, $14,000. This is just one of my accounts, and this is only in 6 months. So yeah, I pay $500 a year anytime to make $14,000 in 6 months. So yeah, you gotta look at it from that perspective. At least that's how I look at it. But yeah, anyway, that's all I wanted to show you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. And again, I'll drop the link in the description. So if you want to check this site out or have any questions or comments, also just drop those down there and I will get back to you. Peace. Have a good one.